Hey everybody, my name is Elidah Dopez and this is my testimony. At the age of 12, we were living a very comfortable lifestyle, but then my father comes and decides to tell us that he feels like God is telling us to go back to my mother's hometown, and that's London. But at that time, we didn't have any more family like there. People had moved away and whatnot. As a child, when you're comfortable, you don't want to move from places. We're really reluctant and we're like, nah, we're not going, we're not moving. But eventually, we bought in, we were gonna move. My mother went first to get a job and everything started. But when it was our time to go, it was like, dude, there was an attack like never before. We applied, got rejected like 7,000 times. I can't tell you how many times it was. Where we applied, got rejected. It felt like everything we tried to do, every time we tried to go, we failed. Everything did not work. It felt like God had hated us. God forgot about us. It felt like we were wrong, like my dad was wrong for even thinking about something like that. And it's one thing to be rejected from external sources, like from outside, it's cool. If other people are like, no, you can't do this, or no, you can do that. But when it started being people in like our family and friends that were actually laughing at us like for trusting God, it was really hurtful. It was tormenting. It was bad. Guys, it was bad for real. But God stayed faithful, and we waited for a while, not doing anything. My mom got a job and she started working. At that time, I dropped out of school to take care of my younger brother. While my dad goes to work as well. So around some week, and I think close to October, I think it was maybe September, around there, the last week of September, one of my friends invited me over to their house for like a party or something like that. But little did I know it was their going away party, and they were going to London, to the place that God told us that we were supposed to go. But that person wasn't even qualified. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't a thing of, oh, I'm angry that they're going, but it was a thing of God. My mom's British, we have every right to be there. You said we should be there. We sold everything we have. We don't have a house. We don't have a car in our names, We gave you everything because we really trusted your word, and you let us down. What was that about, So for a while it was like, okay, I cried that night when I got home. I was like, this is not fair. This is just not. If this is God, then I don't want him. I don't want this. But that passed. And in our waiting, terrible things happened. The enemy tried to attack our health. My father had boils on his face at one point. He was in the hospital getting operated. The spirit of suicide came into our family. We almost lost a couple. It was terrible. It was so bad. But I remember one day, it was like in the morning or something, my father was like, you know what, I can't do this no more. And he packed his stuff, we packed our stuff, and we just went. We booked the flight with the last little bit of money that he had. And and we went. But obviously, just like the other times, we thought we were going to get rejected. We thought, you know what, we're going to come back. But we were like, we're going. We have to go. To see my parents be... It's one thing for a family to decide to break up because of... maybe they don't love each other or something's not right. But for them to be broken up by a situation, that was terrible to watch. Because these people love each other. My parents are in love. They understand covenant with God. And I thank God for that. But it was kind of sad to see them torn apart. But anyways, let me go back. we went, got on our plane. On the whole way to London, on the flight, no one was saying anything. I think my dad went to the bathroom like 20 times in 1 second. It was crazy. It was like a back and forth. We couldn't think. We looked terrible and pale and sick. But we got to the airport and we signed a couple of papers, and we were through, just like that. Just like that, we were in. After all the trouble and all the dude, we were in. And we were with our family. I remember being in the car and I'm looking at my dad, I'm looking at my mom, looking at my brother, my sisters. No one could say anything. We were shocked. We were silenced. We couldn't comprehend it. We couldn't say what was going on. You know, and I'm glad he brought my family back to there in that situation, and he got us to where he said he was going to take us. And you think after that, and after that experience and seeing his gratefulness and his mercifulness, that everything would be okay. But now I'm a teenager in London. You know, a new city, new place, new environment. That's when things kicked off again. I was exposed to a lot of things. I'm a kind of person that when things happen, I'm able to stay under in that situation. I'm able to keep low. But then after, when you actually come out and I look back at what actually happened, that's when I'm like, oh, so it was that bad. So when I got here, I was angry at my family for trusting God. I was angry for God for allowing me to hurt that much and lose that much. And you know, I was angry at everybody and rebellious. You know, but when I got here, it was like the world catered to everything that I had. Bitterness, they had something for that. Anger, they had something for that. You know, anything that I had, there was something. So all these things that I was exposed to, I wanted to do everything. I ended up stealing and lying. Lying I did just to escape the reality of who I really was out of being inferior. That to actually face who I really was and what really happened in my life, I started faking to be someone else that I'm not. And stealing, it was really weird one, because the things that I stole, I didn't really need. I just did it because, you know, to get that emotion, like, oh, and watch people's faces as I took something from them, like, oh, I lost my money or I lost this, and be like, oh, now you know how I feel. You know how much it hurts to lose something, or you know how much it feels like to have a part of you inside or avoiding you. But whenever people will come to me and they'll be like, I lost something, I knew I took it, it didn't give me that satisfaction of, oh, this person can relate to my pain or anything. It didn't really work out the way that I thought it would, and I couldn't find a place of relief, a place where I could be like, you know, I couldn't find that, and that place was God, and I couldn't find it. So for about a year, I did that. But let me tell you, when it's your time, it's your time. God came and got me. I went to my friend's church. It's in Kent, a beautiful, quiet church. It's a small, quite homey church. And I wasn't even looking for him. Like, I was still angry. I was still bitter. But, you know, he was there, and he was there for his people. The Holy Ghost came and it got me. And that's the time that I received my tongues. And I was like amazed, because he had every right to leave me in my situation. You know, he had every right to not do anything for me, but he gave me a part of himself, and I was like, what? I was amazed at God's mercy, and it was crazy. It was amazing. Going home, I remember that night, I didn't want to sleep, thinking I would lose my tongues and the ability to talk that way. But like anything, because I didn't have substance and I didn't have understanding of what actually happened, or I didn't know how to carry it, it kind of withered away. And it was sad, so sad. But I continued after then to kind of talk to God, you know, when I was late for class or when I needed something to happen fast. I was like, God, it's me, the one that you did this for. Yeah, that's me. Give me a blessing. But then became a time when I couldn't hear him. It was like he was gone. Like, I couldn't hear him. I couldn't connect to him. I couldn't nothing. Like, it was like God just turned away, you know, and it was sad. And just like anyone or any person that has a great presence, when they leave your presence, you're like, where are they? You know, get their number, get this. Do you know anyone that knows him? I was like looking for him everywhere. So then I decided, you know what? I'm going to pull a Jacob on him. 12 o'clock any night, going to go to my study. And I'm going to call on him. I'm going to cry. I'm going to pray. I'm going to worship. Whatever I need to do to get him here. For him to know that I need him. That he was that thing that I always was looking for. That relief, that release, that healing, that love, that mercy, that peace that I always was looking for. So a couple of nights I did that. Yeah. It didn't work out the way I thought. You know, a couple of nights he didn't really show up. Nothing really happened. But I remember one night, I think it was like a Saturday or a Sunday, like he came and it was like a fire that was consuming. I literally felt like something was being lifted off my shoulders. I could breathe. It was like my eyes were open, my spiritual eyes. It's like I could see, I could feel again, you know. And I cried. I was in awe. I was thankful. And I was like, okay, I want to do it the right way. I received Christ into my life for the first time. And in learning how to communicate with him, he brought this thing called worship. And you know, it became a big part of my life. Before I met God, I could not sing, I could not rap, I could not do anything. I couldn't communicate how I felt or communicate anything. I just couldn't do it. But as I came to him, it was like something that came naturally. I started writing songs, I started writing whatever poetry, and then I realized what I was writing was in the word, was actually the word. So I was like, yo, I'm just confirming this that's already happened. You know, I'm just doing that God's already written. I'm echoing a sound, you know, and I found a place of belonging, of identity, because the way I thought and the way I felt and the way he spoke to me was something that is proven, you know, something that won't return void. It's there. So people enjoyed my gift. It was good. I started ministering in a couple of churches, but you know, it's kind of sad. As soon as you have a gift, people give you the mic in some churches, and you don't really have the substance and understanding of what you're doing. So people were being healed, people were crying, but everything was kind of going over my head. Like, I couldn't understand what was really happening. I couldn't understand the magnitude of worship, and I couldn't understand that he's a yoke destroyer and all those things. So it was like, okay, you're crying things. For a while it was okay, but I was like, God, this doesn't feel right. There has to be more, you know. And that's when he sat me down. He told me to sit down and learn and observe, and he'll show me in due time. So I sat down, I stopped ministering, stopped doing everything that I was doing. For a year it was pretty dope. It was easy, you know. It was I'm gonna praise God, or I'm gonna wait on the Lord, and it was dope. I was all religious about it. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna do that. But then the second year came. I was like, wait, okay, this is taking 2 years now. Third year came. I became a little restless, and I saw this thing online. It was kind of like a gospel competition. I went on like for a couple of rounds. I went through, but then I came to this part where it was actually one of the final rounds, and I was like, I can't do this, you know, I just can't do this, I'm not ready. But you know how family are, how parents all over rooting for me, like, yeah, my baby's on TV, turn it on, you know, that whole mess. So to kind of go back and tell them that I had to drop and I couldn't do it, I wasn't ready, was a really embarrassing moment, really heartbreaking, because they were really rooting for me and really believing that this was it. But then I learned, out of that heartbreak and out of that confusion, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take God's perfect will over his permissive. And in doing that, he brought me to greatness. I'm like in awe every day of my life. So this year I got a call from the church that I decided that will be the last time that I minister until God gives me the green light. So and they had a worship and praise night. I went there, ministered, the glory cloud came over the building. Like, people that didn't even try to sing after me, I was one of the first people to come on. People that came after me, they couldn't sing. It was so beautiful. Like, I was amazed. People were on the floor, and it wasn't an act. It wasn't a pretend. It was so real and authentic. And I had like 1 second where I could be like, oh my God, this is what you're preparing me for. This is what you had me wait for. This is amazing. And then I had the chance to go back into worship because I didn't want to miss that. But it was amazing, and he's proven himself so many times. Like, I feel like if people just got to that place to know, that place where they know that God knows and God understands and he's there, and we can move forward, you know. God will never tell you to do something and not give you the grace to do it. I just hope that from hearing this testimony, you'll trust him a bit more. You'll understand that he's real. He's not about gimmicks. He's not about playing, but he's a true, loving, faithful God. Yeah, my name is Elidah Dopez, signing out.